Okay, hi people, it's Angie Paradisney again, Angela Paradisney, back with Baron David Ward. Thanks for the great response to the first video we did. Just getting response and input and networking going on across the board, both on David's page and comments and so on and so forth. So it's really good to have a conversation and for people to come together. And I think we've seen a classic example with Field McConnell's situation is when people start bickering and fighting, it's the ones that need help are really in the middle, and they're the ones that suffer. So we're talking ongoingly about different things. I know David's got his own following and been doing this work for years and years. I've printed out 3 pages of the 64-page affidavit, and David's going to advise me on the next steps. But what I'm recording at the moment, and what I've told David, is that in between the brave spots, the anxiety levels are off the charts for me. There's been 2 days this week where I just couldn't leave the house, couldn't get out of bed, other than make it as far as the kettle for a cup of coffee, and one day make it to walk the dog. It's just crazy levels of anxiety and agoraphobia. So before we launch into the legal stuff, and I might hang this video separate to any legal stuff, or I might not, but I just decided to share with you. People say to me, oh, you come across so confident, and you're such a powerful woman, you're so inspiring. I don't usually share the parts where I'm in bits, and I have been in bits this week. This is my first day being anyway productive, to be honest. So, right, over to you, David.
Right, you've got anxiety issues, okay? I know you have, and you've told me about your past life, and I particularly want to discuss.
I just want to make sure he doesn't mean a past life. He just means from childhood to
your younger life, okay?
Yeah.
Now we don't need to actually cover and discuss those very personal things, okay?
I've discussed them all online. I'm a survivor, and one of the ways I've gone through my healing is to be public.
Okay.
I've been blogging about this. I've been video logging about this since about 2007, 8. So
I want to come at this first of all from a much broader perspective, on a global perspective.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? And the situation has been this for the past couple of millennia since Babylon. When have we not been terrorized by pharaohs and Babylon and kings, and and currently in a state of economic collapse across the planet? Everybody is in a state of anxiety and fear. Outright fear.
Yeah.
Are you going to have enough cash at the end of the week or the month to pay the bills? You've got bailiffs coming knocking on the door next, wanting your cash. At what point can you establish what is normal? Because there hasn't been any such thing as normal in millennia. Everyone's in a constant attack of psychological trauma.
Yeah, I agree.
From the day you're born to the day you die.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay? And it's how you deal with that. Well, we do. A lot of people do. Some people don't. And a lot of people will turn to drugs and drink. It's just to escape that trauma, because it's an ongoing trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've got the additional stuff that people like yourself have had to put to suffer. In your early life, in your abandonment, etc. And that stays with you. It doesn't leave you. Okay. It's a constant memory, a constant reminder, and a constant dragging you further down that traumatic life. And it's painful. And I know it's painful. Now, it's what do you do with that pain?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you are, believe it or not, an extremely powerful woman. And I know you don't believe anyone that says that to you.
No, I do believe it, but I only believe it in equal measures to the attacks. It's like you've got an angel and a demon on your shoulder, or you've got the Holy Spirit and whatever, fallen angel, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes I know that I've been anointed and I have incredible power you know, by the
And
grace
it's
of
what
God,
you do
by the
when,
grace of God.
on the other side, when
On the other side is you're a worthless piece of shit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and nobody likes you and all the rest of it.
that's all to do with self-esteem.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Now, what you need to do when you're having these anxiety attacks is actually, believe it or not, embrace it, love it, give it a psychological hug, because it's the trauma of your life. You've been battered on the anvil of life, and that is what's made you powerful.
Yeah, I can
Because
buy.
what you survived, you haven't gone under. You know, you've not ended up a drunk in the street. That's
well, I have had issues with alcohol. I have been into treatment for alcohol. I'm not drinking. I haven't drunk since.
And you've come through that as well.
Yeah, but I have used alcohol to self-medicate. I chain smoke sometimes.
Guilty.
Can be compulsive about anything, you know.
Guilty. Okay. I smoke like a chimney.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I actually went softies, I went cold turkey for 3 months. And because, you know, I tried several times to stop smoking. And it got to the point where it seriously affected my health, because I was studying my tits off, and basically I'm chain smoking, or I was chain smoking every 15 minutes and a coffee every half an hour, because my head is so engrossed in what I'm doing.
That's the other thing. I'm drinking coffee like crazy.
And I got to the point where I couldn't lie down without coughing my lungs up.
It's terrible. But I just tell you a good news story about that. And it's not to justify the fact that I still run little addictions. Everybody's got addictions, whether it's work or whether it's, you know, shopping, or whether it's whatever it might be, being online, pornography, whatever it is. Every human, the nature of being human is to run some kind of an addiction in this crazy planet. But just with regard to the smoking, and this is the supernatural element, which the occult side try and imitate, right? I've been told, first of all, I think my vocal cords were damaged from experiments in the military when I was very young. So by the age I didn't speak properly hardly at all till I was 3. And then not long after I started speaking, I already had a deep voice. They used to call me the whispering baritone. Yeah. So the cigarette thing didn't kick it. I mean, I did start smoking young at 11, but I've been warned over and over from the Royal Brompton Hospital and from the Marsden Hospital in London and from different hospitals around the world. I've been told you'll be dead by the age of 40 if you don't quit smoking. Then I was told you shouldn't be even traveling on an aeroplane, your lungs could collapse. You need to move to either the Costa Blanca or Switzerland for the air quality. You're going to be housebound on an oxygen tank, you know, like an stair lift and all the rest. I've had so much terrorizing about quitting smoking, and I've only managed to quit. I quit once for a year, and I quit other times for surgery, like for a couple of months at a time. But then in 2012, they said, right, you've got emphysema, COPD, your lung capacity is permanently damaged, you're down to 60, 70%, and it's irreversible. And I didn't quit, and I do pray, and I do put myself around different healing ministries, not manically, but I do put myself under the anointing of healing quite regularly. And I do deep cleansing breathing, and I walk the dog, but it's only 15, 20 minutes, you know. But the next time I went for a lung function test, they couldn't understand it because my lung function was back up to 99%. And it wrecked their heads. It was like, okay, so I didn't die at 40. I haven't had collapsed lungs ever, you know, and here I am at 62, and my lung function repaired from the supposedly irreversible COPD emphysema to the point that they were back, my lung function was back up to 99%. So I'm just saying there's a something that can overturn all the science and all the doctors' reports and diagnoses and things like that, you know. So that's just on that. But yeah, I smoke. I don't drink anymore, thank God. You know, that went out of balance. I do smoke. I do drink coffee a lot. I could do with exercising more. And and the anxiety thing, it's like I've just been in a really good treatment program, and we were doing meditation, and we were doing, you know, exercise, and we were doing talk therapy, and we were doing pottery and crafts, and, you know, getting the hang of a balanced lifestyle. But although I'm not drinking, because there's external pressure, and because I still carry some wounds, I don't know if people ever recover from child sexual abuse, trauma-based mind control. You know, it was horrific. MK Ultra, military, nefarious experiments. But I do call myself, I walk out my healing. So I'm tempted, and people are going to get mad at me. Some of my followers are going to get mad at me. I'm tempted to get medication for 6 months because I'm not functioning properly. And I can put this to some extent on the fact that a malicious prosecution is being dangled in front of me, and it's causing me alarm and distress. But I want to be functioning through this. I don't want to be unable to get out of my bed or unable to leave the house. So if you've got any other input for that,
Yeah,
I'm happy to hear it.
It's to take hold of that anxiety and give it a big hug, because that actually is your strength. Okay, and once you give it a big hug and said thank you, just stick it in the corner.
I hear what you're saying to some extent, because I used to resist it. When I would get an attack of depression or anxiety, I would fight it. And I discovered that if I say to myself, right, I can't get it together today, so I'm just going to have that be all right. I'm going to embrace that. I'm going to let myself off the hook for that. You know.
Yeah, and that is another good response, because, you know, we are all under that tremendous amount of pressure from all angles at all times.
Yeah.
And I know from the past 10 years that I've been doing this, you know, there was one point in time where this physical body of mine just collapsed, and I slept for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, for 6 weeks, all I did was wake up, eat food, go to the toilet, and go back to sleep again.
Wow.
For 6 weeks straight. So I understand that. Yeah,
maybe that's your body saying it. Something else that helped me, and I'm just not saying this so much for you, but for people that might be listening, is that I read somewhere that in order to be diagnosed with clinical depression that needs treating, you need to have 14 consecutive days of just feeling horrendous. And so when I started embracing the days that came to visit, I got it down to, like, you know, I got it down to just a day or half a day. You know, I can notice that the black clouds come down, and I'm exhausted, and I can't get dressed, and I can't get out of the house. So yeah, I hear you. And by embracing it, and by telling myself this is not anything to panic about unless it's every single day, day after day after day after day, you know.
And the biggest the greatest cure is to rest. You know, I came out of the all the psychological trauma of doing all the securitized commercial liens and all that hassle to here where I am now. And it's been this past 12 months, 2 years, I've been absolutely brilliant, because there's absolutely nothing apart from going on Facebook and doing what I want to do on Facebook. There's been nothing, you know, no one giving me any grief, no one banging the door, no letters coming through the letterbox, and all of that stress, it's just gone. Right. Because yet they stole my house, and I was driven out of that environment, but that was actually a good thing.
Yeah, it can turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
It is a blessing.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't know they were going to steal my house. I knew that for a fact they were going to steal my house years in advance, you know. It's not something that I was not prepared for. But even on the day that it happens, you're like shell shocked for a week. And when I was actually in James Lee House for them 3 months, I spent most of that time sleeping. What's James Lee House? James Lee House is a Salvation Army hostel.
Oh, God, yeah.
Actually, it was great.
Yeah, no, I've met a lot. Well, I don't know if I'd describe those places as great, but I've met a lot of people that have been, they've owned their own houses, they've lost their own houses, they've been homeless, you know, and it's very humbling. And I agree that if you survive those kind of trials, and you don't get lost in addiction or suicide, you do come back stronger. I do agree with that.
You do.
Yeah.
And this, and you know, it's not just that, you know, that's just a minor episode in my life. And everyone's been through
Well, it's
trauma.
pretty huge to most people. It might not be such a big thing. Well, it probably is such a big thing to a man as the woman. But to most people, to lose the roof over your head is one of the most primal injuries, traumas that somebody could suffer. Obviously, abuse, and particularly child abuse and trauma is in a different league. But to lose your home is a very primal wound.
Yes. It is. There's nothing. I can't say anything against that. It is absolute trauma. And what I did for the most of my time in James Lee House was just sleep. I went down for breakfast and I went back to a room, sleep, wake up, go for a smoke outside, come back, sleep some more, go down for whatever food breaks that they had, and slept. I actually slept for another 2 months when I went to James Lee House.
Thank God for places like that give you a safe space to do that in. I've heard some horror stories as well of homeless hostels where it's not safe to just sleep indefinitely because there's dangerous, traumatized, messed up, sometimes addicted people as well, you know, very desperate people around.
Mm-hmm.
That's another story. Do we need to address, like some people are trying to invalidate your work because you lost your house? Do we need to address anything you could have done differently, or why you weren't able to find a legal way, a law
to take my house,
to keep your house? Yeah, can you?
My house. I knew on the day. Imagine me before the 29th of hang on, I need to decline that from Mike.
Okay.
And send him a quick message.
All right.
Saying I am in conference. I am in.
Sorry it took so long. I don't know why my speaker thing went weird. I'll just say this while you're messaging him.
So I've done that. Mike will understand and me and Mike get on great. Yeah, it's not a problem.
No, I just wanted to document. People think it's a bit tinfoil hat, but there's no reason why my microphone should have stopped working since we last spoke. And also, since I gave permission to, or I didn't give, since Google gave access to my Google account data, YouTube and all the rest of it, to on Gardeshire Corner, on foot of a district court order, I had interference with my YouTube channel. I had something like 364 trolling comments saved under comments waiting for approval. Now, fortunately, I've got them backed up somewhere else, but they disappeared. When I went onto my YouTube channel within a few days of on Gardeshire Corner getting permission to access, all my trolling comments, which is evidence in a court case, if it came to a court case, had disappeared. You know, and then I put up a status about that, and I was going to contact YouTube and say it's one thing to give access, but I don't think you're giving permission for somebody else to interfere with evidence. And then they reappeared back again, but not all of them. So it's a pain in the neck that I have to go, and I had them all in one place. Now I have to go and retrieve them from the other place that they're saved. But just to say that there is technical interference. I had vital recordings on a smartphone, all disappeared, all got deleted remotely off a phone. So that kind of stuff does go on. Anyway, so where were we? I was asking you about the house. You said on the day it happened.
No, not on the day it happened. Prior to that, you know, before the actual tribunal itself, when I was filling in the tribunal paperwork, I sat out of my computer at home. Yeah. Yeah. I knew, because I'd been so deep and so wide down the rabbit hole and done so much research, that I'm the only guy on the planet that actually knows and understands it to that degree. Yeah. And I know that by actually filling in that paperwork from that tribunal, that there's going to be a
backlash,
a retaliation.
Yeah.
And it's going to be extreme.
Yeah.
And at that point, you know, I've actually made a decision at that point, because I'm filling in this paperwork, that everything is going on the line. And people don't understand that, including the house, okay? Because when I put everything on that line, it's not I'm going to stand there and defend it. Yeah, you come and take my shit. Because every time you take my shit or do something to me, there is paperwork.
Right.
Give me your paperwork. So take it all. Yeah? Okay. And then I'll deal with that paperwork one at a time.
Okay.
And I've been doing that. It actually took from 2013 to 2017, there's 5 years there, where they had to work out a way to steal my house because the house is paid for.
Okay. So you made a conscious decision that the legal discoveries you'd made were important enough to put everything on the line for it.
Everything on the line, yeah.
Okay. Can you make the light a bit better? It doesn't matter. You look very mysterious, but
I do. I could probably turn a bit.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
I've only got one light here, and I've not got any over there to shine at me to light me up properly.
Well, it's all right. We're not trying to be.
If you turn that one out, is that better or worse?
Turn it out a minute.
That's out.
Oh no, that's dark right now. That's too dark.
It's too dark.
Yeah.
So that's the only other choice I've got.
All right, well, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I saw one of the profile pictures of you with all this regalia. Regalia is the wrong word, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I had fun doing that. That costume I'm not wearing that costume. It's completely artificial.
Oh, right. So you just stuck your head in something, did you?
Yeah. I actually manufactured that. And that rig is actually a guy called Jakarov of Babylon 5.
Okay, well, it's very...
And the staff in my hand was actually Gandalf's staff. And I actually did all this on Paint Shop or something.
Oh, it was very...
Just for the shits and giggles.
The only other thing I meant to say since we spoke last, it's true what you said that Moses was...
a terrorist.
Well, he was groomed. He was... Yeah. He was kind of kidnapped, and then he was mind controlled and groomed and prepared to be an enemy of his people. But I would say he's a shining example of somebody that broke the mind control. He broke
the mind control when he said
Matrix.
When he left the Pharaohs. And he spent the next 40 years in the desert tending sheep or something.
He did.
Yeah.
But something amazing. Now, I'm, as I told you last time, I'm peaceful. Maybe it's something to do with being a woman, but I'm peaceful unless somebody threatened the life of my loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm peaceful. But the courage he took, he saw an Egyptian slave master brutally beating two of the Israelites, and he murdered the slave master for his brutality.
Yeah.
But then the tragedy was the two Israelites threatened to whistleblow on him for being a murderer. Instead of saying, thank you for breaking free from the Matrix and breaking free of your programming under the Pharaoh's training and saving our backs, instead of that, the sniveling little so-and-sos...
Yeah, but they would have been afraid of retaliation because that slave master's dead. It's going to come and retaliate back on them.
Well, maybe.
That again is fear.
But anyways, I still think that was... so that's just by the by. I just was chewing over that thing.
We have conversations and it triggers things in your head, yeah.
Yeah, it did. But anyway, so anything else about the house? So the house, you were willing to put it on the line. Are you taking...
Yeah, I knew for the fact that these... you go that deep down the rabbit hole, you know how evil these people are. You know how they think and how they breathe. So you know if I'm going to do this, they will come and take my house.
And I've experienced that on a different scale with going after this alleged satanic ritual abuse, drug porn dealing, money laundering, and child abusing cult in Hampstead, I said, for whatever.
And it took them...
And I knew that it was going to... We all knew, there was a core of us knew that they were going to come after us if we kept blowing the whistle. And one of the ways they tried to torture me, other than threatening to come and kill me or beat me up or check your backyard or I'm only an hour away or whatever, you know, varying different death threats and calling me horrendous, calling me a child abuser, calling me a charity scammer, getting me audited, getting me re-audited, getting my reputation destroyed and all of that. But one of the things they used to delight in saying was, you're going to lose your house, you better save up for a good storage room. I own my house, it's modest, it's a 3-bedroom, you know, 20-year-old council house, but I own it.
Mm-hmm.
And that did disturb me for a while, because that's something for my children.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it. I don't believe any judge is going to take my house off me. You know.
Now, I genuinely cannot say that I had a full picture of exactly what I was going to do, and how that would unfold during the time period between 2013, when I won the case, and when they stole my house. You know, there's an extended, there's 4 years there, and I genuinely did not have an outright clear picture of what I'm going to do next. You know, there's research, and then you get something else done, like the affidavit was in 2015. You know, there's 2 years of pausing and thinking and contemplation, and how am I going to achieve this objective? Yeah, and in what way? Yeah, because I know that within the case itself, it doesn't give anyone any means of redress. You've won a case law which guts every, and I knew.
Right. So there's no structure in place yet.
At that point in time, no. Well, there is now. We have it now. It's currently in process, and we do have it now. Absolutely got it in place now.
Yeah, because
but it's taken all this time because you can't dismantle Rome in a day. You know, it takes time. And
yeah, and
what I'm trying to make is there's time periods of me doing more research and finding out. I mean, if I said to you, what is an affidavit? Well, you'd say it's or a lot of people would say, well, it's one of them documents that you serve and send to someone, and you know.
Well, I've used affidavits in the past, and my understanding is I make a statement, and then I go to a solicitor and get it, a commissioner for oaths, and I get it witnessed and signed. I sign it in front of a commissioner for the oaths.
Yeah, but I don't want to go to somebody else. You know, I need to know who I am, and I've got the complete authority to do this on my own without going to the companies. I'm going to call them the company.
Yeah.
Their solicitors, their notary public. You know, there's actually a lot involved, because back in 2013, I didn't have a great seal. I didn't have my crest. You've got to know who you are.
Yeah.
Before you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay?
And this thing of stealing houses from whistleblowers and activists and campaigners and geniuses and mavericks and whatever is common. That, for instance, Nilu Berry had a house stolen that was 700,000, I think was the value, I think it was, and she had it unlawfully taken. Carol Woods, a social worker that was whistleblowing on all sorts of jiggery pokery, she had her house illegally stolen. So it is a common tactic. So, but I don't think that's going to happen. But as you say, if what doesn't kill you makes you stronger anyway.
Yeah.
And
what people don't realise about an affidavit is this: it's a legal document. Okay, it is a legal document, and the point of it being an affidavit is, if you do not contest it, rebut it, or say you're wrong, and show you the evidence in fact that you're wrong, then they've agreed to it. It's formal and legal document where the outcome, if it hasn't been rebutted or redressed in any way, there is a formal legal agreement from that affidavit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that expands out the case that I won with the additional stuff that I put in that, which was actually taken from the government record itself, that makes that affidavit so powerful.
Okay.
Because it's not one affidavit, it's 657 affidavits.
All right. So before we progress on to going forward in the talking, I just asked you one thing: is with what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently in the battle to save your house?
No, it was impossible, because
well, What was the technical excuse? Did you get in arrears with the mortgage?
No, there's no mortgage on my house.
Oh, you owned it outright. So how
Yeah, yeah.
did they steal it?
People don't understand about mortgages, okay? But I do understand about mortgages. This is a lot of research. The bank haven't lent you anything, which we all know by now. Everyone's been saying this for a long time. Well, this is true. But if there's a mortgage still on the house, yeah, then it's actually the guy who's lent the money that's put the house forward as a surety until he's paid it back, because he got conned into a loan. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as long as that mortgage is in place, the bank have an interest,
Yeah.
a commercial interest in that property, and they can take it off you at any time. At any time. Okay.
Right.
And that interest that they claim to have, it goes on the land registry record. Now, there is no mortgage on my house, so the bank can't do a repossession, but they did. Now, the thing about a mortgage repossession is this, and people don't know this, because this is something that me and Pete McDowell dug into deeply, is how the courts can just ignore everyone. And it comes down to what's known as the court procedure rules in the event that a bank makes an application to the court for a repossession of a property. Right. As soon as that document hits the court, immediately the court procedure rules take effect. Now, at that point, you cannot challenge the claimant. The judge cannot hear you, because those court procedure rules make the judge into a dumb box of rocks, rubber stamping monkey. So there's no point in actually going to the court and talking to the judge and saying yaga, yaga, daga, 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 because whatever you're saying and pointing to the evidence, or you might be saying the bank's committing fraud, or whatever that evidence is, the judge is deaf, dumb, and blind. You cannot challenge that claim.
So then if that's true, how can anybody with a mortgage own their house or hold on to it? Why don't these crooks do that to everybody then?
Well, they are, aren't they? That's why there's 300,000 homeless. The banks are just getting a house that's either not got a mortgage on it, or it's mostly mortgage paid, and basically stealing it by whatever means. Crook means it's outright criminal fraud. Everything the bank does is outright criminal fraud.
Wow.
So and apparently there's legislation that the bank can do that 12 years later.
Wow.
12 years later, after you've paid off your mortgage, the bank can still come and take your house, according to the legislation. Now, I'd won the case law that puts all the acts and statutes, including that legislation, in the bin. So once there is no mortgage on the house, once them 25 years have expired, there is no mortgage on that house anymore.
Right.
So they cannot do a repossession, but they do a repossession because they implement these court procedure rules. And I know exactly what them court procedure rules. Me and Pete McDowell sat down with his court procedure rules, went through it line by line until we completely understood it. And the judge in a house repossession by a bank is deaf, dumb, and blind. He is a rubber stamping monkey boy. And those court procedure rules were written up by Mike Grove, who's an MP in government.
Michael Gove.
Michael Gove, yes.
I've heard of him.
So he's the guy that's responsible for the 300,000 homeless, because he drafted up those court procedure rules.
But the point I'm making, if what you say, that no amount of evidence that you've got, for instance, that you're not in arrears, or
such as a document from the bank's law firm, Amlings LLP, saying outright that this mortgage has expired 2.5 years before, and that's a signed legal document. The judge cannot see it.
wow.
And the application that Amlings LLP made on the application itself, that paperwork, confirmed the fact that there was no interest on the arrears. So there is no arrears because there's no interest on the arrears. And that's on the court document. And the judge cannot see it. He's blind, deaf, and dumb by the court procedure rules.
How do you make out that because there's no interest on arrears, how do you make out that that means ergo there
is no arrears? Because if there is arrears, then you've not paid the arrears, and then there's going to be an interest on the arrears. So if it stays on that document that there's no interest on the arrears, then there can't be any arrears for the.
Oh, right. Okay. So it proved that you weren't in arrears, because if you were in arrears, it would have added interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't be in arrears because there's no mortgage.
You'd already paid off the mortgage.
No, I actually hadn't paid. No, right. We've got to separate these two things. You've got a secured loan and an unsecured loan.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right. A secured loan is where you put the house up as surety for the loan. An unsecured loan is where there's no property as a surety for the loan.
Okay, I get the difference.
So after the 25 years, even if there's some outstanding payments,
right,
the house is no longer that surety for the loan, and the loan is now unassured.
Okay.
Right then, which is going to bring us to the endowments, and you know what hassle they are.
Right, I didn't have to get a mortgage. I prayed, and I spent 5 years building up my faith, and I was able to buy my house mortgage free. But
mortgage free. No, I when I got my house, I was talked into doing a
endowment policy.
A what?
No, I'm sorry. You tell me.
An endowment mortgage. Yes,
that's what I meant. Yeah.
Now I never had opportunity through them 25 years to actually resolve that situation before it came to fruition. But that is irrelevant, because if you look at the endowment side, that is actually insured.
Okay.
So if there is a deficit, it's not got enough money in the endowments, it's insured by Prudential. Now, I would have paid that as part of the premiums for that endowment. So it's insured anyway.
So you were paying the insurance as well? Because I know when I looked at getting a mortgage,
oh yeah, it was all paid up.
Yeah, I would have to pay an insurance as well.
So all the mortgage is paid up. It's come to its 25 years, and all that endowment is paid up, and any shortfall is insured. Right.
Absolutely.
My house is paid for.
Right.
Paid for.
Right.
2.5 years previous to them taking my house.
Right. So the mortgage was all paid off.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a small amount owing that you said. Was there a small amount owing on it?
The actual endowment had not been settled, because I've got a problem here now with this endowment, because they want me to submit, the endowment company want me to submit and sign and indemnify them. Yeah?
Right.
On their submission. Okay, we're getting to this word submit now.
Yeah.
They want me to submit and indemnify them for any losses in that endowment.
Right. So if they took your house and sold it, they wouldn't be liable for any shortfall of what was owed. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not what I'm saying at all.
All right, sorry.
I'm saying that endowment policy is an insured policy. So if there is any shortfall come the end of that term, it's insured by Prudential Insurance. And I paid those premiums as part of the premiums that I paid on that endowment.
And is that insurance only payable if you're dead or...
No, that endowment is not an insurance. Well, it is insured. The endowment is insured. It's a commercial package. Everything that the government do, every single thing that they do is insured.
Yeah, I get that, because it's the
right. So if the government, through the banks, have got a financial product that is a product, it is insured.
Okay.
And the insurance company is Prudential, because it says so in a small print.
Yeah.
They're the underwriters.
So for the sake of transparency, if you don't mind,
yeah.
What did they say? You said you hadn't paid the endowment. So how much was that? That
was 20,000.
Right. So 20,000. You came to the end of your 25-year.
There is no mortgage on the property, so that is an uninsured loan.
That's an unsecured loan.
An unsecured loan.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's an unsecured loan, and it's covered by the insurance policy, because you've finished your 25 years of payments, but there's 20 grand of the endowment policy outstanding. And therefore, why didn't that get covered by the insurance?
Because the submission, the documentation, well, it is insured. The endowment company are insured for any loss on that endowment.
Right.
Right. But the submission paperwork, the paperwork that they want me to sign, I'm agreeing in that document to agree for me to stand for any losses that they have, which are insured.
So the 20 grand would have been your loss and not theirs, even though you'd paid 20.
But it was only a 5 grand shortfall on the endowment. So if there's only a 5 grand shortfall in the endowment, Prudential covered that shortfall. And therefore, that endowment would have paid for the house, or would not have paid for the house. The house has no longer got a mortgage on it. It's no longer a surety.
Yeah, I get that.
But it would have repaid the original loan.
Okay, so for the sake of...
It's very complicated. So the question then is, how do you influence and make this endowment company actually make a claim against their insurance policy?
Oh, okay, okay.
How do you do that? Because to this day, I don't know how you do that.
Well, you'd hope they'd be honourable. If you say, I've come to the end of my 25 years, I've paid your premiums all the time, and I've paid what I had to pay for my mortgage, but there's now a 5 grand shortfall for which you are insured. Can you please activate that?
Can you please? There you go. There's the begging.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
my question was, how do we leverage them and force them to make a claim against their insurance?
And why were you not able to do that?
Well, I still don't know how to do that. How do I do that?
Okay.
Do I go running into the courtroom? No, I don't go running into the courtroom. I'm kicking the courtroom's candy ass.
Okay.
I can't go running into the courtroom.
For the sake of a 5 grand shortfall, what was the value of the house that they stole?
130,000.
Oh, that's crazy.
But now let me get to the good part, okay? This is where it going to get really interesting for you. The bank itself, I've got a law firm called Hamlings LLP. Okay, now you've got to remember these names and who the law firm works for. So the bank, which is Santander, I've got a law firm called Hamlings LLP. Yeah. When they sold the house, okay. Now the borough council who are trying to charge me council tax that I don't have a liability for, and I've already won that case, and I've already put securitized commercial liens against 3 or 4 of the council officers. Sarah Pye was 20 million. Timothy Day is a council lawyer. You're looking at another 15 million. Joanne A. Smith, who's a secretary for the lawyer, there's another 15 million. You know, I'm hitting these people hard. Boom, boom, boom. And their law firm is Green Gallagher Kerr. Okay? And their law firm, a guy called Mr. Owens, I've already put a securitized commercial lien against this candy ass because he's making a claim that there is a liability order for the non-payments of council tax. So there's another securitized commercial lien against Mr. Owens. Now you're talking how much? You're talking 20, 15, 15, and probably, I don't know, I can't remember what it was against Mr. Owens.
It gets into monopoly money, but...
Yeah. Now let me finish.
Right, sorry.
Now then, after they'd sold the house, they sold it at auction for 100K, I'm getting a phone call. Out the blue. Hello. This is Green Gallagher Kerr. We would like to discuss making a transference for a balance transfer. I said, you're Green Gallagher Kerr. I said, is that Mr. Owens? He said, it is. I said, are you the same guy that I put a securitized commercial lien on for the non-payments of council tax? He said, well, we know your opinion about the non-payment. I said, it's not my opinion, Mr. Owens. I said, that's case law. Okay. I do not have an opinion, okay? So me and him are having a loggerhead conversation straight away.
Right.
But the balance transfer is the equity, the remaining equity from the house.
Yeah, which should have been 95,000.
Which should have been 110,000.
Well, if it was sold for 100 grand and you owed 5.
No. The house was valued at 100,000, 130,000. Okay. Now, if Santander or someone sold it for 100 grand, that's not my problem. It's a £130,000 house.
Okay, so you got 125.
Hey?
So the balance transfer, you said you lost the house for the sake of 5 grand.
Yeah.
So if it was valued at 130 and they sold it for 100, all right, you keep talking. I'm just saying it should have been 125 grand they gave you.
The point I'm trying to make to you is this. the orchestration behind stealing my house wasn't Santander, it was the Borough Council. It was the government directly.
Over council tax.
Over the council tax.
I think they did the same to Nilu Berry.
More than likely. So it's the Borough Council that stole my house. Now, how many people do you know that has had a house repossession by a bank where the guy whose house was repossessed, or the woman, have actually received some of the equity in that property back? The equity.
Right.
Never happened. I've never heard of it.
Okay. So,
and that's the difference between law firms and how compartmentalized they are. Because a law firm for the bank, when they sell that house, yeah, because it's a law firm for the bank, which would have been Hamlings LLP, that should have or would have sold that house. And they just give everything back to the bank, which means the bank's taken all the mortgage repayments, and they've taken the house, and they've taken any equity in that property. And the guy who had the house doesn't get a penny.
I can't get my head around that, because not only that, they're also insured. So they're getting about 3 times they're capitalising on that property.
Oh, yeah. It's all outright criminal. And the point I'm making to you is, I've now got Mr. Owens for Green Halligan Kerr, which is the Borough Council, talking about a balanced transfer, which is actually the sum, only 12 grand, 12 grand from me, 12 grand from my ex, of the equity, which people don't get for my house.
So you got 24 grand given to you out of a mortgage-free property valued at 130.
That's correct.
Which they argued 5 grand was left outstanding on the
endowment.
And how much was council tax claiming?
By that time, probably about 7 grand.
Right, so 12 grand. So even if they sold it at 100 grand, and even if you allow them 3 grand in fees, they still should have given you 85, and they gave you 24.
Yeah.
Who got the other money?
Probably the Borough Council.
Wow. And presumably you're taking steps to sue them for that. I know Nilu is.
You can't sue the Borough Council because no judge has authority over his executive in office. And the Borough Council is the judge's boss. I don't do what is futile. But don't forget, I put securitized commercial liens, 3 of, against the Borough Council staff and Mr. Owens and the judge that stole my house.
I understand that, and you might get something off a judge or even off, but
no. I'm
in real terms.
Okay, I'm going to give you real terms.
But the council worker's not going to have millions.
No, they're not. Certify is never going to be worth £20 million.
So how are they going to pay a lien?
Well, they don't. That's the whole point. I know for a fact that they are not going to transfer the 20 million. Certify is never going to be worth £20 million in her life. Okay? Right. Now, this is the magic. It's not magic, it's actually legal. Because the bank don't actually lend anything to anyone, ever, and the currency is made out of confidence and belief, I'm going to charge Sarah Pye 20 million because it's 20 million pounds of confidence and belief, which is nothing. And then I'm going to tie her into that contract, which is a document you've not read yet, okay? But this is a legal process starting off with the evidence that Sarah Pye, the physical document, she's making a claim that there is a liability order. Signed document, right?
Right.
And then follows a legal process where she's making this claim, where I charge her because she can't present the 64.2 million consent to the government. So she's agreed to the charge, and I've charged her. And when I charge her, I know she's not going to transfer the funds. She's not going to be worth it. So if you do not transfer the funds to make settlement on these debts in the next 7 days, then Sarah Pye has formally agreed to stand as a surety or a security by the way of a lien, extended to the 7th generation, where they may be a attachments of earnings on your grandchildren's pension. Okay. I go guns and bullets because she's never going to transfer the funds.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you can attach.
So she's agreed. So she doesn't send the transfer the funds in the next 7 days. She's agreed to stand as a surety. Now I've got a securitized commercial instrument.
So you can then attach her wages, her properties, her offsprings to the third and fourth.
No, she's standing as a surety. The document itself is 20 million. That's a 20 million pound note.
Right.
Cashable.
Right. But how do you cash it? How do
we cash it? Now then, yes, I did go into the bank with that document. And yes, they did throw me out. Because the banks are on the crook side. They're crooks.
I know.
Which means now let's go back to the securitized commercial instrument. Let's talk about bonds, which is a written document with words and numbers on it and a signature. And the one signing that document stands as a surety for that bond. Yeah?
Yeah.
That bond then is taken by the bank and placed on accounts as cleared funds. No one's going to go back to the guy that signed the bond because the bond creates the cash. That's a securitized commercial instrument.
I've seen documents like that where take this to the bank and that'll pay your mortgage off.
Yes.
I've seen that kind of thing, but it does, the point I'm coming back to, which is a point I tried to make in the first video, was what do you do if it doesn't work? What do you do if every clever person like you...
I'm just referring to the fact that...
What do you do if they just ignore it, throw you out of the bank and steal your house anyway?
I'm coming to that.
Can we pause for 1 second? Can we just pause for 1 second? Can you hold that thought? Right, I just need a minute. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so carry on.
Right, I'm actually quantifying and qualifying what a bond is. Okay, I'm on about the fact that if you take a bond, that it's going to get rejected, and I'm just quantifying what a bond is. The fact that it's a written document, got words and numbers on it, it's got a signature, and the guy that signs it is standing as a surety. And the function of a bond as a security instrument is that bond gets placed on account as cleared funds. That's brand new fiat cash. Yeah?
Okay.
And a pledge. A pledge is exactly the same thing. It's called a pledge instead of a bond, so you change the word. And a pledge is a document. It's a written document with words and numbers on it and a signature. And the guy that signs the signature is the one standing as a surety for a commercial instrument. Yeah?
Okay.
And both of these documents create brand new fiat currency.
Okay.
Now, there's no point at some later time anyone going back to the guy who signed the bond or who signed the pledge for that cash, because that is then a deposit, and the function of a pledge or a bond serves no function.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the absolute function of a pledge or a bond.
Okay. That's a bit over my head, but I want to address two things. I know there are people, and it might include myself, I know there are people that would say, if you do some fancy footwork and you figure out a way not to pay for your council tax or your mortgage just because you don't want to, is that fair on the rest of people who are working hard and paying their bills and paying their mortgages? But the other side of it is that, because I use the Bible as my template, and the Bible says that to lend money at interest is wrong. Usury in itself is wrong.
This is making the assumption that the bank have lent money at interest, and first of all, it's not money. And
yeah,
the bank
it's all monopoly. Yeah, it's all monopoly. And there's the thing of they've made money on the property 3 times. Yeah. They've made it from your payments from 25 years. Yeah. Then from the sale of selling the house, then from the fact that they've got it insured. So I think it's without question that the banking system is used
absolutely criminal fraud, and they get away with it because they are licensed to commit fraud by the government.
And then just to finish that, for the moral busybodies that will say, why should you get 5 grand, 12 grand written off in debts? Then what's to stop everybody doing that? Were you in genuine hardship, or was it just a delight of having found out the law?
In 2007 was my last. Don't forget, I'm a computer geek. I'm a Microsoft certified systems engineer. I can command 50 grand a year as being that guy.
Okay.
My last contract was working as an engineer subcontract to Barclays, and I was on that kind of money.
Barclays.
Yes,
Oh, the irony. The irony.
I've built the computer kit for Barclays and the Halifax and the Departments of Works and Pensions and the Ministry of Defence. Oh my God, yes, I'm that guy. Okay. So I know what goes on behind closed doors.
You're like an internal whistleblower, aren't you? You figured this out from the inside.
Well, actually, no, because I actually see what's going on. You know, someone's coming from the front office, I'm in the back office. You've got this piece of paper in their hand and they just put it in the shredder. And you remember these things years later, because I've got a good memory. Yeah? But why have they put that piece of paper that guy just signed in the shredder? Well, he signed it, but then he scanned it and digitized it. So any reproduction of that piece of paper with that signature on it is fraud, because it's a facsimile. If you can't take a photocopy of the Mona Lisa, this is not the Mona Lisa. That is fraud.
Yeah, that's true. But this is just a side point. Are you familiar with Edward Ellis's work?
Not particularly.
Well, just a side point was an invention he made and patented, was how to lawfully digitize signatures.
Well, you can't lawfully digitize signatures. That's the whole point. As soon as it's digitized and it sits in that computer, you're going to press the print button.
It's no longer a wet signature.
It's no longer a wet signature. It's a facsimile and it's fraud.
Wow.
Because you can't photocopy the Mona Lisa.
His patented invention or discovery or invention really was so valuable that I think it was Tony Blair stole it.
Another crook.
And I know that Lyndon, what's his middle names? Charles Lyndon, prosecuted twice for cottaging under his two middle names. Anyway, that's by the by. I'm going to do a different video on the ICSA thing. Right, so we've handled the moral thing. So you were saying you were working and earning good money, but you still got to the end of your 25-year mortgage with a £5 grand deficit.
Yeah.
£7 grand council tax deficit. How did that happen, or why did that happen? If you may not want to say that, because we've already proven
at the end of 2007, that was my last contract, and at 2007, I got some serious cash in the bank. Okay, and my objective at that point was to do the next transfer of get my next qualification, which is a CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate, because once you got that tick in the box with that qualification,
okay,
where I'm earning £160 a day, I would now be earning £300 a day.
Okay.
So I spent a year with my head in this laptop, well, not this particular laptop, it was a different laptop.
Yeah.
Studying and paying the bills out the cash in the bank.
Okay, so you had savings and you took a sabbatical to better yourself, right?
Yeah, of course, because this is what we do. But back in 2009 or early 2009,
crash. The crash happened.
No, that was 2008.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right.
I'm getting this wrong. Back in 1999. Okay. Back in 1999, prior to 1999, or during the year of 1999, I was working for a company called International Computer Logistics. Just prior to that, I was actually working for that company through Manpower. Now, and I'd made such an impression on this company. The manager for Internet in ICL wanted me cards in. I said, look, Manpower are giving me all this training. I've got all these CDs. I've got this course going on. I said, you've got to equal that or better it, because otherwise I don't want to work for your company. I can drive a hard bargain.
Okay, so somebody tried to headhunt you while you were on sabbatical.
No. We're going back to 1999 now.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry.
Okay, so early 1999. So this guy, he pulled his levers and his strings in his administrative office with the upstairs flipping clientele. He got actually 8 people, one of them including me, on a boot camp down in London for 2 weeks to become a Microsoft certified systems engineer.
Who was running the boot camp, just out of interest?
You want me to remember the name of the company that run the boot camp in London?
Well, I'm only interested because there are companies, well, like Scientology is involved with, and also cults under the disguise of educational institutes, like the Landmark Institute, for instance, allegedly. They can get involved with those kind of things. But anyway, that's a sidetrack again. Anyway, so you went on this course.
I went on this boot camp. Now, I didn't get all 6 qualifications. There was only 5 on offer, but I got 4 of them.
Okay, well done.
So I did extremely well. And then later that year, just prior to November 1999, and after that arrest, because I came away from that 2 weeks brain drained, absolutely knackered. So then you have arrest. And then you turn around to the company you work for, which is ICL. I'm claiming 2 weeks holiday. I'm going to go away and I'm going to finish these last 2 units.
Right.
Now, that actually took me a month.
Okay.
Okay. But when that tick goes in that box, when you become Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, the doors open, the pay goes up.
Okay.
I immediately got enrolled within that company where on the Ministry of Defence project, which was a full site solutions rollout for all the Ministry of Defence sites.
Wow.
With secret security clearance.
Wow.
Yeah. When you get a qualification upgrade like that in the world of computers, you're going up on the financial ladder.
All right, let me just clarify one thing. When you took the year's sabbatical to study, were you still employed by a company? Was it a year off or had you resigned?
I'd come to the end of that project by Barclays.
All right, you'd finished
the contracts, not looking for work, didn't sign on,
right.
Not looking for work.
So you lived off your savings and you kept up
the savings.
And did you keep up your mortgage payments?
Kept up the mortgage payments, paid everything out with savings.
So how did you end up 12 grand in debt at the end of the 25-year mortgage?
I didn't send up 12 grand in debt at the end of the
council tax mortgage. The council tax were claiming about 7, and the endowment was about 5 grand shy.
Yeah.
How did that happen if you were paying everything you had to pay every month?
You pay it until you run out of cash. And then I actually went for the exam, failed the exam. Now that's a standard process in the tech world. You go for the exam and you fail the exam so that you know where your weak points are and then go back and take it again.
An NCT done twice because you find out what needs fixing, yeah.
And then I'll look, yes, you do. And it's what I do. And it works, okay? Yeah. That is the working methodology.
Yeah,
so find your weak spots, revise up on it, go back and nail it.
Yeah.
Right. I then looked again at the work situation for us being a CCNE. And because we're now talking 2008, yeah?
Right.
Barclays have outsourced everything. Santander's coming to the country and took out 3 banks. The actual industry that I was in keeled over. That job that I was going to go for £300 a day took a dive, so 150, which is what less than it was on before.
Right.
And then you try and go back into the industry to find out there's no industry left.
Right. So you were a victim of the crash in 2008.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So then you've got serious problems because now you've got credit card debts as well.
Yeah.
Yeah? 8 grand.
Somebody warned me in 2007, somebody warned me, get out of debt, don't use your credit cards. If you have a mortgage, try and pay it off. If you've got 2 or 3 properties, consolidate, because homelessness is going to be weaponized. I was warned that in 2007. Right.
In this same period that I'm talking about, 2008, 2009, I didn't know anything. I was asleep as a guy who's as asleep as it gets.
Right.
Okay? Right. But while I was studying, I done an end of year self-assessment.
Right.
For the tax, yeah?
Oh, right.
The tax man sent me 7 grand. Now, I've just come off a big contract. I paid a shitload of tax.
Because you weren't working for a year and living off your savings, you got a 7 grand tax rebate.
No, I got a 7 grand tax rebate because I'd overpaid tax.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, I hadn't actually overpaid tax. I actually made a mistake. An inaccuracy, they called it.
Oh, right, because you'd self-declared, you'd done your own taxes.
Yeah, because I've been doing that since I was an apprentice pipe fitter welder. I've been doing that all my life. I've been a contractor all my life. Yeah.
Right. So you did something wrong, and they figured out they owed you $7 grand, and then it turned out they didn't.
Well, it turns out that they did owe me $7 grand, but that's where it gets complicated because they said an inexactness because they give me the $7 grand. Obviously, I paid off what I paid off because I'm still asleep. Don't forget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I spent the $7 grand. Then I get a letter from the Inland Revenue, HM Revenue and Customs saying,
we made a mistake.
There's a mistake here. Yeah, saying that I'd made a mistake. Yeah. And yeah. This is going to get really complicated and really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And we want you to send us all your P60 and your wage slips for this period of time. But then the letter carried on and saying that, like, if you've got to pay it back and you don't pay it back, you're going into jail, basically.
They did that to me in America. They said my accountant had filed incorrectly and I owed $5,000, and they built it up to $12,000, just with late payment and fines and penalties and all that kind of thing.
You just file it on.
File it on until okay.
So, right, so I got this letter. I've sent them the P60 and the wage receipts, and I sent a letter as well. Dear Mr. Taxman, Andy White, his name was, who's now the head of HM Revenue and Customs, by the way.
Wow.
We thank you for your letter. Here is what you've asked for, which is the pay slips and the P60. We found your letter quite distressing because. Yeah. If you want this money back and I can't pay it, you're going to put me in jail. I said, but I can't log back into your network. You know, this is months and months later. I said, I need some visibility of what you're talking about.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah. If you're making a claim. Now, I was doing that before I knew he who makes a claim carries the obligation. Right, you're making a claim.
Yeah.
Send me some, show me. Yeah? And he did. They sent me a screenshot. Okay, now you're in my world again.
Yeah.
And I died. I literally shit myself. Because don't forget, I was still sound asleep.
Right.
Nothing that I know now, I knew then. And I've got a piece of paper in my hand, and I know a screenshot when I see one. I'm the computer geek. And there's 2 boxes. How much have you earned, and how much tax did you pay? And I put the same number in twice.
So what does that mean?
That means the $7 grand, according to them, that they sent me, they wanted back.
Oh, right, yeah. So okay. So you made a mistake. You'd put a figure in twice.
Yeah, you can't have tax equal to your gross.
No, okay. All
right.
So that's how they figured out that they'd made you a payment in error.
That's what they were saying.
Okay.
Now then, it was like self-torture because every couple of days I'm picking this piece of paper up, looking at it. Something made me keep picking it up and looking at it. And then I actually saw, okay? Now you're talking my world now, the world of geekdom. I build websites, or I have built websites. Okay. I know about protection of boxes before you click on next. Now you've been on the internet and you've been filling in a form.
Yeah, and it won't let you progress until you've done it right, yeah.
And if you've done something wrong on that form, it'll take you back and put a red ring around it.
Fix this, yeah.
Right, so how can I click on next when box A and box B equal each other?
Right.
Right, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
And it took me days and days keep looking at that to sort it out before it triggered in my head. These cells are not protected in any way. Yeah? So I'm writing back to Mr. Taxman and Mr. Andy White saying, you've got a problem, son, because you're the government and your website's screwed. And
so it was a fault with the website. The website didn't pick up the anomaly, and it should have picked it up and held progress until it was corrected.
It should have. Well, yes, you've seen that. If you can't click because that's executing a document. Yeah.
Okay.
When you click on next, you're executing that data. It goes into the SQL database.
Okay, I got that. Yeah, I got that.
Right. So, if things are as they should be, then there is no possibility that I could have filled in those 2 boxes the same and clicked on next without it going back, putting a ring round one of them and saying there's a problem here.
So do you think it was fraud?
No, wait, maybe this is where it gets really good. Okay, or it's going to get really good. It's going to get complicated, but it's going to get really good. So I'm trying to do a deal with this guy because you've got to take some responsibility.
Yeah, you can do
because your website's screwed.
Yeah.
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 Right. And that's when Mr. Andy White came back with a letter to me later on saying, I actually got 2 letters during his correspondence. And one of them was that, the first letter I sent to them before I realised this was, well, you sent me that tax, you put it in my bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. And the letter I got back from that was, this is good part, it is HM Revenue and Customs policy. Now, when they say the word policy in their world, that is company law.
Right.
To return your tax and then argue about it later.
Okay.
Now, that's a very important point to remember. Okay. Remember that point. It is their policy to return your tax. Yeah? Then I noticed this problem. Then I'm giving him grief, trying to do a deal. Yeah? And then he comes back to me, the same Andy White, saying, you have a statutory obligation to pay your tax.
Right, so he said it's our policy to pay you first and argue later.
Yeah.
But you've still got a statutory obligation to pay
your tax.
Pay me back, give it back to me, because I shouldn't have given you that. So they're retaining the right to give you a rebate and then
and he used what words when he said that in that letter?
Policy was the first word,
that was the first document. In this letter I'm reading now, the words he said was statutory obligation.
Obligation. Oh, statutory. Right.
So David's head's going back in the computer. What is a statutory obligation? Right. I'm a contractor. I've been a contractor since I was 20 years old. I know what a contractual obligation is.
Okay.
So what's a statutory obligation?
Right. And
etymology of the word.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to bring the moral element into this. You weren't just playing with them for the sake of it.
No, I was crapping myself.
Oh, okay. That's
seriously scared. Right. Seriously scared because I did not know.
Right. Okay. All right.
So I eventually look up do the etymology back to the Latin with the statute we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And then look up and find it in the law dictionaries that a statute is a legislative rule given force of law by the consent of the governed.
Wow.
Right. Now then, go back to what you said the week before. Now, I haven't won that case law yet because this is in 2010 probably.
Right.
That's 3 years away from winning the case. So I'm sending this back to Andy White of HM Revenue and Customs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got a problem here, son, because now you've got to present to me the 63.5 million consent to the government, otherwise you're committing fraud. Yeah. So Andy White in HM Revenue and Customs. Obviously, Andy White in HM Revenue and Customs is completely ignoring me.
So they've never
and then he started the proceedings in the Northampton Court Bulk Clearance Centre to bring legal proceedings against me because I've got to pay them back. Yeah.
Right. So he tries to take court proceedings to get back the money they erroneously gave you.
For the $7,000.
Right.
$7,000.
Yeah. Right.
And during more legal process, so at that point, I'm writing to the Lord Chief Justice.
Right.
Yeah, because I've got no full documentation, and I'm sending a copy to Andy White and notifying him that I'm also sending a copy to the Lord Chief Justice.
Right.
Because this is in court, or it looks like it's in court. It's not in court because the Bulk Clearance Centre, which is what it was called then, is not the courts. Nothing is in court.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bulk clearance centre. That bulk clearance centre, which is a tax office, is in the same building as the court, but it's not the court.
Okay.
So more shenanigans.
Right.
Needless to say, he ain't getting his $7,000 back because I'm broke.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I've still got a technical problem until I actually won the case law. 2010, 11, 12, 13. When I won the case. Mr. David Ward has got no obligations or liabilities under the Traffic Management Act or any other act or statute, including tax. What was the letter that sent to me? It is HMW and Customs policy to return your tax and then argue about it later. Well, I'm sorry, there's no argument now, son.
Right.
Because, and we're not just talking PAYE now, we are talking all tax.
Wow.
85% of your gross from the day you were born.
So then it brings us back, I don't mean to make this go too quickly, but it brings us back to, biblically speaking, usury and
Usually, we're
usury.
talking criminal fraud.
Let me just finish this thought scripturally. Biblically, scripturally, usury is wrong, and tax collectors were hated.
Yeah.
And the tax collector that met Jesus climbed a tree because he was a little fella, and he said, I will pay back for everybody I've stolen from. I'll give them 4 times back what I stole, and I won't do it anymore. So
Yeah, but in the Roman Empire, back in them days, you're taxed by the sword. You know, if you don't pay your tax, you're going to get slashed.
Well, the same with the Druids. If you didn't pay your tax, they'd take your firstborn son.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Halloween was. Anyway, right, okay, brilliant. So you won that case and you didn't owe the tax man.
Well, the tax man still thinks I owe that case.
Oh, really? So that's still, did he put a claim against your property for that?
Eventually as well.
Eh?
Eventually, yes.
Right, so you had the tax man looking for the $7,000, even though, so you haven't won that case yet.
Well, you know, I have won the case because Mr. David Ward has no obligations or liability under the Act.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Who said that?
That's a case I won in 2013.
Right, okay, good. All right, so you're still, so they used against you council tax arrears, and a shortfall with the endowment. That's what they used to steal your house.
Yeah, but it's all fraud. It's all criminal.
I hear that. And so when they only gave you 24 grand out of the 100 that the house was sold for.
Well, I only got 12. The ex-wife got 12.
Yeah, well, husband and wife 50-50.
Oh, everyone's had their hands in that pot.
So therefore, they satisfied the taxman's debt and they satisfied the council tax debt. So
it's not debt.
All right. What?
Yeah, fraud. Taxman's fraud, council tax fraud.
Yeah. So they stole all that. They stole all that and threw a few coins at you.
And threw a few coins at me, yeah.
Wow. Okay, just hold on 1 second. Can I just pause you again for 3 minutes?
Yes, because it gets even better. Carry on.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Right, we're back again. We just had some good news there in the interim, but we'll carry on. So we had the $7,000 that the taxman was unlawfully wanting.
Yes.
We had the $7,000 the council tax was wanting, and then we had a $5,000 shortfall. All right, carry on then.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to the taxman because now I've won case law.
Yeah, okay, the case law
has got no obligations to pay tax at all. We're not just talking PAYE.
Yeah, no, I've heard that.
Of your gross, yeah?
That's why they're talking of Phil McConnell losing his house as well on these same grounds. Phil McConnell was arguing these same grounds on his house.
In 2000 and probably 2009 when they claimed that I'd made an inexactment. Yeah, I didn't make an inexactment, so I went back online and did another self-assessment.
Right.
Only this time I'm going with case law.
Right.
And they've had time between 2013 and 2009 to fix their website.
Okay.
Well, let's see what happens when I go back online and do another self-assessment. Okay. So in my new self-assessments in 2000, it's probably 2014 when I actually thought about going back online and doing it.
Right.
Yeah. You've still got the same case scenario. Well, how much was your gross earnings that is taxable? Because it's taxable earnings. Well, I haven't got any taxable earnings. So that box is full of zeros.
Right.
Because,
because you hadn't worked. Right.
No. No one's got any taxable earnings.
Okay. So based on the case law that you'd established, you put taxable earnings 0. Okay.
Right. Okay. Right. Taxable earnings is 0 because I haven't got any taxable earnings.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how much tax have I paid? Well, I'm going for it all. £999,999.
Right, you've paid 100 grand in taxes, have you?
No, no,
the house. Right, okay.
no. That's £1 short of £1 million. I'm going back to the day I was born.
Okay, so that's all the tax you've paid since you were 20.
No, that's all the tax. I'm going back to the day I was born. Mum and Dad paid tax for me for all of, right?
Okay, so you're claiming $1 million in tax paid.
I'm claiming $1 million, and I'm putting a note in that this is to date, and I'm going to talk to my accountants, yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll settle up with the rest later. And I uploaded the case law, and they gave me a space where I could type some notes and documentations. So I flipping buried these scumbags.
Right.
Yeah. And like the previous time, I gave them my bank account details so they could transfer the £999,999 like they did before straight into my bank account. Don't forget, I got them by the balls here in legal. I've got them by the balls in their legislation. I've got because they've got it is their policy to return my tax. It does not specify just the PAYE. It's all the tax because all the tax is illegal.
Okay, so it's they
So I did that.
All right.
Clicked on next. It processed it.
Right.
So they've not fixed the website.
Right.
Deliberately not fixed the website.
Right.
Because that is exactly the process that they give you and everybody else to get all your tax back every year.
Do you think, am I being too conspiratorial to think this is a way of sweeping up people's homes?
No, we're just talking about tax here.
I know, but if their website is set up deliberately not to pick up on anomalies or mistakes.
It's not an anomaly anymore.
No, I
that
know.
Actual website, the end of year self-assessment, is deliberately designed where you can put 0 in box A, which is your taxable income, and box B can be all the tax back. It's done that way on purpose. So I didn't make a mistake. Well, I did. I should have made a lot of bigger tax claim the first time around. The website is designed to do that for you and automate it and put the cash in your bank.
Right.
Because this is their policy.
To pay it and argue later.
To give you the tax back. And they can't argue with me because I've won the case law.
Right. So, but they never transferred that 900.
Well, I sat back, arms folded, waiting for the transfer, checking my bank account every day. You know, because
that must have been torture.
I've got you by the nuts, monkey boy. You know, I've got this letter here. It's from you, Mr. Andy White. And a strange thing happened then. Obviously, I'm in serious financial dire straits still, yeah. And I had a few failed direct debits, paying bills, yeah, which you then make up for and pay the interest, pay the charges.
I know.
So I'm not abusing the accounts in any way, yeah. But the Co-op Bank, which is the bank that I was with at the time, sent me a letter saying, Mr. Ward, you are abusing your account. Or what does that mean? You know, they're not claiming that I violated the terms and conditions, that I'm abusing the account. And you've got so many days to empty your account because we are going to close it.
Right. So what you were doing was standing orders and direct debits were going through and being marked as paid. And then they were bouncing. And then
No, I hadn't got enough funds to cover the direct debit, so it didn't go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way it will show up on a bank account is it shows up, because I went through all this with my ex-husband, it shows up as paid and then it gets reversed and pulled back,
yeah.
And then you
and
get
it comes back and then it goes in arrears, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Then you're overdrawn.
So why did they say you were abusing your account? Was it because it was an unauthorized overdraft?
No, I'm not abusing my account because I'm going in within a matter of days. I'm settling up I'm paying the direct debit, I'm paying their fees. So I'm not abusing my account.
So was it a regular thing though? You kept having to chase bouncing standing orders and direct.
Oh yeah, I mean financial dire straits. It's when I get some cash, you pay the bill.
Right.
And if you've had a bounce direct debit, you've had a bounce direct debit. Well, that's not abusing the account because you're still bringing it up to date.
Yeah.
And still complying with the terms and conditions.
And you're paying
their fees.
Yeah, so that's not abusing your account at all. So that's very unreasonable of them in a time of a crash, an economic crash.
Right. So what's happened? Now, I've not had any letters from the Inland Revenue saying, Mr. Ward, you can't have this cash or what anything. No contact from the Revenue and Customs to me at all.
Right.
Not a document, not an email, not anything.
Right.
And then this Co-op Bank are turning around to close my account. Why?
Oh, so that was organised. That was probably settled
The
in.
Inland Revenue said, shut this guy's account now.
Yes.
So they can't transfer the funds.
That was a I bet that agreement got made in a Freemasons lodge.
I don't care where it is. This is how these people, scumbags, work.
Oh dear, dear, dear.
This is as true as I live and breathe. And I still haven't worked out how and what that was to do with until I went to open a new bank account with the TSB because I need a bank account. I actually considered not having a bank account, but I actually needed a bank account because I do online purchasing of stuff on eBay and sometimes things from China. Yeah.
So you can't prove, but you have strong suspicion that the revenue told the bank to shut your account.
I know that for the facts. Why else? Because I went into the TSB to open an account, and I'm talking to the bank account manager, and I'm saying this to her. Well, why? In what way have I abused the account? And she said, you haven't. You haven't abused your account because you didn't comply with the terms and conditions. So I've got that confirmation from another bank account manager, that I have not abused the terms and conditions, and therefore I have not abused the account.
Right. So
what conclusion is that?
Yeah, jiggery pokery.
Definitely, Revenue and Customs closed my bank account so they could not transfer the funds.
Wow.
You see how I qualify things with somebody else.
Okay. All right. Well, so have you got actions in process to be compensated for all that, for the theft of your house, really?
Oh yeah, I've got actions in process. Securitized commercial liens for 1.95 billion.
Okay. And you're pretty certain you won't be awarded that money. So what will?
No, I'm not expecting to be awarded that money from the Borough Council or anybody else, or the district judge that thief, or the judge that stole my house, because they have all agreed to stand as a surety for a securitized commercial instrument. So it's not going to cost them a penny. They're standing as a surety. Now I've got to go back to the bonds. That's a securitized commercial instrument. And the pledge, that's a securitized commercial, which creates brand new cash. And inclusive in that, if you go for a bank loan, whether it's secured with a mortgage or not, it's a bank loan. You fill in a paper, you sign that document, and whoever signed that document, that is a securitized commercial instrument, where the one who filled in the document is the surety. And that is exactly how the cash is created, not by the bank. People have said the bank make money out of fresh air. Well, it's not money, it's fiat, and it's not the bank. It's the guy that signed the paper on that application form that created a securitized commercial instrument and the brand new cash to buy a house, or for a loan, or for a credit card.
So then the personal bank managers or whoever authorizes the loans, they will be liable?
No, there's no liability here because the banks are licensed to commit fraud. Yes, currently, what's his name? Current Prime Minister, Boris, is liable.
Okay.
For the criminal fraud.
Okay, so he's liable for all the bank fraud in the UK?
Yes.
Wow. So tell me this. Just tell me like a simpleton, how will you get compensated for only getting 24 grand out of a house that was worth 130?
Well, I probably charged the judge that stole my house probably 30 million or something.
But that's monopoly.
How am I going to cash in the securitized commercial instrument?
Yes, I want to know, Joe Blogs, how does that translate? Like, somebody just got good news. How does that translate into good news, money in your account?
Right, I'm going to get to it because I love the way. Yes, pressure the crap out of me. Absolutely. Now then, go back to the bond and the pledge and the securitized that created new. So the bank is a commercial vehicle. This is the point I'm trying to get to. And that's all a bank do. They are a commercial vehicle. They take money on deposit. You do online banking for people, or the people do the online banking themselves because it's their account. They don't create money out of fresh air. The people that do the loans create the money out of fresh air with their signature, and the bank is just a commercial vehicle. Yeah? Right. Now, if the banks won't take my security instruments because they're criminals, and I have been in 2 banks to actually cash one of these in, and yes, I get thrown out. Have a nice day, Mr. Ward. Go away, or we will have you arrested for... Yeah. I've been there. You know, I've done this thing.
Yeah.
So then we need another commercial vehicle, okay, that is not the banks. And there is one.
Which is?
Crypto.
See, I've got a thing about crypto. I tried to, somebody advised me, again, I know some pretty well connected people. Somebody advised me around 2009 to buy into Bitcoin at 50 euros or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. So I didn't. And then I went to buy into it when it was 2,500, and that was not long before it went up to 20,000. So that would have been a tidy little, and as it happened, it just kept not working. I don't know what it was. It was something about the laptop or whatever, the device, or maybe it was just me, but it didn't. I think I do have a Bitcoin wallet, but I've never used it. I think I got some, no, I haven't used it. So I don't even know if I've successfully created that. But the blockchain, I've got feelings about it that, first of all, if they get everybody onto blockchain and crypto, and that's using more energy, you know, all these idiots that say we've got an energy crisis and so on, and we need to not do this and not do that. Well, the energy taken to keep crypto going is off the charts. It's quantum off the charts. You know, it makes everything else pale into insignificance.
Talk about
but also, let me just finish this chain of thought. Also, it's not just like that, but I know somebody lost 100 grand worth of Bitcoin. They had it stolen because they did ride the Bitcoin wave and they did very well, but it got stolen. So it's not really that secure. And then also, what about if all the electric goes down? What about if internet goes down? Nobody can access their money. So I'm wondering if it's a way of tracking everybody. It could, you know, there's talk about it being the mark of the beast. And there was talk 20 years ago about how you'll be persuaded that banking is all digitized, so you might as well get a chip in there or a chip there, and then you can access your Bitcoin wallet and you can pay for everything and all the rest of it. That's the mark of the beast. So I'm thinking maybe the Bitcoin system, blockchain system, it's not perfect, and it's possibly the mark of the beast. So I'm not thrilled about blockchain being the only solution.
Well, you might not be thrilled about Bitcoin or blockchain, but it's been around for 11 years. It's very stable. Now, I'm not saying there isn't any crooks in that world, because there is crooks in that world. And people are trading their coins back into the same as people would trade stocks and shares. And if there's going to be winners, there's going to be losers.
I think
someone could lose 100 grand quite easily.
I think it was originally used and designed by crooks, and it was mostly used on the dark web for selling drugs and children and pornography. It was used for criminal means, and then they tried to make it respectable and say, well, we can actually use this, you know, everywhere for everything.
Right, I'm going to get really complicated with everyone and you now, so this is going to blow your mind. Okay?
Right.
There is now 16,000 or so I've looked up, and in one particular report site group on the internet. So, you know, I'm not saying that is gospel and absolute, but according to that report on the internet, there is now 16,000 crypto coins.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I'm not being accurate. I'm not.
On another website, I'll say there's 5,000 crypto coins.
Yeah, I believe that.
It's on a planet where there's only 200 fiat currencies. And like you say, if all the power goes out, well, you're not going to get your...
How do you get your stuff?
You're not going to get your cash out the bank anyway. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's horses and courses, you know, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now, all the blockchain transactions in commerce on a global scale actually add up to only 3% of the world commerce.
All right.
So you've got 16,000 cryptocurrencies on a planet with only 200 at best fiat currencies, and they're only actually achieving 3% of a global commerce percentage basis.
It's made up money. It's pretend money. It's like, right, I've got.
It's all pretend money because fiat currency is pretend money.
It's all pretend money. It's like when I was little, we used to play cards with buttons out of the sewing box, but it still made the game really exciting.
Yeah, fiat currency is made up.
It's made up. It's all made up. Yeah.
And now, okay, so let's actually go to the current working function of a blockchain cryptocurrency vendor. That's this guy here. He sits down at his computer, or he gets one of these developer companies to craft up a cryptocurrency. We'll call it Pinkfish currency. Call it Pinkfish coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's done a initial coin offering. That's what they call it. Initial
$20
million. Right. So you've got $20 million of coin to sell, and people are going to buy that.
Yeah.
For $20 million.
Right.
And here's the next guy. I'm going to keep it this simple to these two people. No, so not a rook of people, because it gets too complicated. So, vendor has now sold his $20 million of crypto to blockchain user.
Okay.
Now, this guy who sold his 20 million blockchain coins has got $20 million in his bank.
Right, yeah.
And this guy over there is going to do some trading, up and down, win some, lose some. But eventually, he's going to make his $20 million in blockchain. He's going to cash it back in.
Okay.
So now there's $20 million over there in one bank, and he's transferred his blockchain back to the bank, and he's got his $20 million again.
Right. So
That's outright criminal fraud on 16,000 cryptos that exist on planet today.
Right, because all the mugs like me, that would have bought Pinkfish coins, thinking, this is a good investment, this is going to go up, we're left holding the baby, because guy number one got his 20 million, guy number two made 20 million, and then you get the mugs like me and my sons holding on to Pinkfish coins, and nobody wants them, so it's fraud.
It's all fraud. From end to end, crypto is fraud.
Oh, you know what? I feel like titling this, it's not just a case of follow the money. It's like dirty, filthy lucre. It's like everything comes, even my field is exposing and investigating and healing from child sexual abuse, child trafficking, satanic. That's my thing. But listen, the only way to get to the bottom of it, sadly, is follow the effing money. It's all about greed, and it's like the lust for money is the root of all evil.
It is. There's another problem that I need to cover. When what we pay tax also pays tax, then there's no return path for that second tax back into economics. And this is why the planet wide is in financial economic distress in every country, and they're all in debt for trillions. And there is an economic crash going on, and it's been going on since 2008, and 3 countries have already gone broke.
Yeah, great.
Fear is in serious trouble because of the taxation alone. 85% of your gross is taken in tax. You're living on 15%.
How do you know it's 85%? Because they say it's 19 or 40.
Well, because I know the three British Chartered Accountants going back before, when I was still a pipe fitter welder, or I was an electronics engineer at the time, and Mike Miller, who knows these guys, that sit down for 3 days and actually worked out how much tax for every quid. And it was 85%. It was 85.
Are you adding in stealth taxes like council tax and speed?
All the tax, because you've got tax upon tax upon tax. And if you've read the loaf of bread document, there's a document in that affidavit called the loaf of bread, and it shows you at every stage where the tax is on that loaf of bread, and the tax on a loaf of bread is 85 pence in the pound.
All right.
Sorry, 85 pence in the pound.
Okay, so just wind this up. This is
Oh,
fascinating.
no, we're not close to winding up. This is, it gets close.
Right, but we've got to make this in bite-sized pieces that people can digest.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I would say to people as well, pause this. If you could only take in half an hour at a time, pause it. But do remember to come, because I sometimes pause in the middle of a video and then I get distracted and I don't go back to it. So I am saying to people, even if you're not in distress with a mortgage, or even if you're not, you know, if it doesn't seem immediately relevant, I would highly recommend that people, if you take it in half-hour chunks, but come back to it. So we'll carry on a bit longer, because I still want to get to my cover letters and who to dispatch these affidavits.
Well, you started this, so now we've got to finish it, okay?
No, I know. Didn't realise it was going to be so epic.
Right, the banks are a commercial vehicle, and that is all they are.
I'm listening.
Crypto is also a commercial vehicle, and that is all it is. What's happened?
It's all right. I'll just get a glass of water. I'm listening.
Okay, right. Now, in crypto world, the only function they have to do these exchanges is between fiat and the crypto coin. But what the crypto does not have is a capability to use a securitized commercial instrument to buy crypto coin as well. And not one of the 16,000 crypto coins has got that function. But there's no reason why they should not. There's no legal reason why we cannot add that function to the crypto coin. So when you've got a securitized instrument by way of a lien, which is exactly what I've done, we cannot use that instrument to buy crypto. And once you've bought your crypto, and let's call it, for the love of it, lien coin, yeah? Then once you've bought that and it's in your wallet, you can then transfer that back to your bank account.
Right, so what you're saying is, without getting... Right, so you're, based on what you've won with liens, or rightfully so, righteously so...
Now I've got a means to cash them in.
But it would just be by decree, it would just be by saying, I can create a crypto coin based on what's owed to me, even though it hasn't been paid yet.
Well, no, it's not because it's not been paid yet. They are standing as a surety. I've made a legal commercial instrument.
Okay, so you can create a crypto coin saying this woman and that bank manager and that judge are the surety behind this coin.
Behind the security instruments, the commercial instrument that I'm using to buy coin with. Because people buy coin of whatever ilk it is with the fiat dollar or the fiat whatever.
Okay.
So now instead of using the fiat, we can add the functionality to a crypto coin, or all of them, to be able to use securitized instruments to buy crypto with.
And how can you stop fraud in as much as you can prove with paperwork and evidence that you've got liens on these people, but how can you make sure that other people don't go in and just pretend they've got that against Joe?
Well, if we've got a platform that provides a commercial function, okay, then we've got a platform providing that commercial function. It's not our responsibility or our job to validate their security instrument.
See, just in the wrong hands, I'm just playing this through, sorry if I interrupt a lot. In the wrong hands, what's to stop somebody saying, right, I've got a claim on Angela's house. So, and they do their own jiggery pokery and make up some documents that looks like it says they own my house now. What's to stop them going and purchasing and creating a coin based on that claim if nobody's going to validate it? Or
absolutely nothing, nothing whatsoever. But if they do that, it's therefore fraud in the economics world, which has got nothing to do with the platform and the crypto, and it's got to be taken care of in the world of legal. If someone's committed fraud in the world of legal that's got nothing to do with the crypto itself, then it's got to be dealt with in the world of legal. They've committed the fraud out there, nothing to do with the platform.
But we've already said in the beginning that the word of legal should all transpire on paper. It shouldn't even... See, do we then create...
The word of legal does transpire on paper.
But do we then recreate a legal profession which is in charge of finding out who's got a real...
Who has taken charge of my own legal profession? I have. I've issued securitized commercial liens by agreement because the whole process is full of agreements from end to end, where I've created these securitized instruments, and the people who've committed the criminal fraud in the first place, the Sarah Pies, the judges, the barristers, the lawyers, have all agreed to stand as a surety for that commercial instruments. Now, that's an extremely complicated legal procedure, which you haven't read yet.
Right, and they've agreed how? By not rebutting?
No. He who makes a claim carries the obligation, there's your contract,
to prove it.
to present the material substance of the claim.
Okay.
Failure to present this evidence in the next 7 days will enter Mr. Shipface into a lasting and binding agreement to the following effects: that the claim made is fraudulent in nature. Right, they have now entered into an agreement where they've not performed, they're going to stand for commercial charges. This is a legal, documented process.
So he who makes a claim has to provide the evidence, right?
Yeah. And
right.
if they can't, then their claim is fraud.
Okay.
Fraud is the chargeable criminal offence.
Okay, so that would filter out, that would filter out a lot of spurious.
Yeah. Now then, we've got a means here where we've now got a foundation which I've built over the past years, a foundation in evidence that cannot be challenged. Because who is it I've brought these claims, these security, they're not claims, securitized liens against? They are judges, they are barristers, they are lawyers, and they are bailiffs, and they are the executive officers of government. So no one can challenge that. No one can challenge the veracity of that, because it's been vetted extensively by the government itself.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. No one can challenge the fact that I've created these securitized commercial instruments, because for the simple fact is, hello guys, I'm Seth here and I'm not in jail.
Right.
Now, if I'd done anything wrong during that process, I assure you, I would have been in jail a long time ago.
Okay.
And it's as crystal clear as that. Until you actually read the files, the 38 securitized commercial instruments, which are circa 140 pages, and they're extremely complicated, until you sit down and understand it, then you've got to sit down and understand it. And it's that simple. You've just got to keep reading and reading and reading and reading, because it's there in black and white. And the evidence of the claim is there in black and white. And the legal procedure is there in black and white. And the foundation in facts that are served upon the state in 2015, our hard evidence, which is the affidavit itself, is there in black and white. And you've only got to read it to understand it. So we have got a means to create current day. Current day is actually 2.5 billion in securitized commercial instruments. And we need a vehicle, and that vehicle is crypto, because that's the only other vehicle that exists that I know of.
Okay, well,
to turn that instrument back into fiat.
Okay, so you've got the possibility of using crypto to write that.
No, this is not a possibility. This is currently happening right now.
Okay, good. Now I've got one more question. Just like when you established your first precedent, you lost your house through jiggery pokery, and right now with this information that you're putting out, and the likelihood or possibility of people being held personally as surety for monies owed to you.
Yeah.
What's to stop a corrupt police force, a corrupt legal profession, and a corrupt judiciary from ignoring all of that and taking you out? Like putting you in jail or worse.
Bring it on. Put me in jail. I'm saying to the police of this country right now, please put me in jail. And I've actually said this to the police directly. Put me in jail. Bring it on. Because the day you put me in jail is the day I will walk out with an armed and dangerous militia, which will include the prison guards. This guy knows way too much and he's way too dangerous, and we're going to come put your head on a fucking spike. And I will say that every single day.
Let's not talk that.
Put me in jail.
I'm a lady, but you recruit the entire jail, including the staff. So
yeah.
Again, simplifying it. Why haven't I can understand where that can happen to an extent. You put a good person in jail, and they start sharing their knowledge with other people.
Where the fact that the people who put them in jail do not have the authority to put them in jail.
Yeah.
And the guys that are actually guarding them and the warden, they don't have the authority to keep them there.
Right.
Now you've got a riot.
There's people like Carol Woods locked up in a psych unit. The best we
can get Carol Woods out. I'm just trying to get the message across to people how to get Carol Woods out.
Okay, how?
Right. The writ of habeas corpus is someone who's incarcerated, or no, that's an incorrect word, who is illegally detained.
Right.
Does the government have the authority to legally detain someone? No, they don't. Does the judge? No, they don't. Does the warden? No, they don't. So it's an illegal detainment, and the writ of habeas corpus is statutes. It's on their books. They've got to comply with it. And that's something that Robert Lazar's do every day.
Right, so then John Patterson and Carol Woods and Field McConnell could all have been gotten out, because that's what, what's his name, Kirk Pendergrass wrote on the comments. Do check the comments under the last video, people, and under this, because Kirk Pendergrass said that because there's fighting in the camp of who's looking after Field's situation, he didn't get to serve a habeas corpus. He wanted to get him out with a habeas corpus, and he said the documents that were filed were the wrong documents, written wrongly, and he couldn't get agreement in the camp, and that's why.
Well, if it's written wrongly, it's written wrongly, because you only need to serve an habeas corpus on the one that's doing the detaining. Now, if they're in a jail, the detainer is the warden.
The warden, yeah.
And if they're in a police cell, the detainer is the custody officer. Serve it on him.
And then
not the court. Don't serve it on the court.
I know. And then the horrible thing that happened was they did extradite Field to Florida, where he's never been for decades.
Yeah.
And he was, spuriously convicted on a domestic violence thing when he's never been there. He hasn't. It's this loophole in the law that they're using where they can say on the internet or by email, this person assaulted me. That's the loophole. But he got extradited after 100 and something days, and then he got a bail hearing, and he represented himself. He looked terrible. He looked gaunt, and he looked whipped. And the prosecution said, right, we want the bail terms to be 100 grand, and he can't use the internet, and we want GPS monitoring on him, and we want something else. And he didn't even argue or negotiate. He just agreed to it all. He agreed not to go on the internet. All he had to say was, that's my only means of income. I need to be on the internet.
If I was that guy in front of the judge, I'd have walked out, because I'd ripped the judge a new spleen with what I know. Because
let's not talk violence, because I'm trying to make this available to the masses. Yeah. So let's not.
I don't mean physically rip the judge a new spleen.
You mean
I would rape the judge, because the judge has got no authority. Right. And he don't have power of attorney, because the country, the government do not have power of attorney, because 67 million people have not transferred power of attorney to the government.
So the bottom line point I'm saying is, if he tried to walk out, he would have been physically restrained by guards, security, police, blah blah blah. How do you overcome that?
I've already overcome that. I've been dragged into the courtroom. Okay, it was a magistrate's courtroom. With no warrant for my arrest, but they said there was a warrant for my arrest.
Right.
So I've been in that glass box, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, I walked out again, basically giving them the finger.
But because you could prove there was no warrant and no consent and no contract.
Well, there's no consent. I didn't actually need to get to that part, knowing the fact that there was no warrants. I'm now ordering the clerk to get on his computer and get a copy of this warrant in this courtroom, because without that, these proceedings are criminal and illegal and a willful and belligerent acts of terrorism. Right. I didn't get anywhere near the fact that a one case law that puts all you monkeys in the bin anyway.
So once they realised you knew.
Yeah.
Now they did. I think with Field
they tried to carry on in their robot narrative, and I just let them carry on. I'm going to spoke down the mic and I said, Yeah, I've heard everything you said.
But what if they did have a warrant? Like, for instance, with my raid, where they took my computers and laptops, they produced a bit of paper with a wet ink signature. Now, they took it away with them, but they said it was a warrant. And I know they went to a district court and got an order for Google to release my data. What if they say, here's the warrant?
If they've got a warrant, happy days. If I've got an actual real warrant with a judge's name on it and a judge's signature, I'm going to ruin that judge. Because I'm going to take him down to the RCJ at the very least. I'm going to make such a noise because that judge does not have the authority to sign that warrant.
Okay, because he hasn't got consent for 67 million wet ink signatures.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
I could make such a noise with that. Huge, and that would have to be national press. I would bind the national press to report the facts, and if they didn't, I would go after them as well.
Okay. All right. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
You know, this is the extent of the knowledge of this guy. And if you haven't got your head around it, then you need to read the files and get your head around it. It's that simple.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to add on that subject?
Yes, we are currently in process of creating lien coin.
Okay.
Right now.
Praise the Lord.
And then once we've got that platform up and running, we can automate, because all you need as the evidence of criminal fraud is a VAT receipt.
Wow, it's mind-boggling.
Ka-ching. 15 million per VAT receipt.
And then, so if you manage to get justice through the blockchain, crypto.
Crypto, yeah.
So it's just a risk you take that crypto might collapse if society collapses.
Well, crypto, if the government and the banks wanted to take down crypto, I'm sure that they have tried and failed. Because don't forget, Boris Johnson and the bank people have got no clue, not the first clue, how the world of the internet and computers work. I've worked in that industry. Right. I can tell you stories about the village idiots in that industry.
Well, we've got researchers both in America and the UK and Ireland and Canada working on actually piecing together the money trail of money laundering on a industrial scale, just billions, trillions being stolen and moved around.
Yeah, the governments are doing that, and the crooks are doing that, money laundering.
And the celebrities and the pimps and the...
Yeah, you can have truckloads and truckloads and football pitches full of incontestable facts on things like that.
Yeah.
But what do you do with it? How can you do that, anything in a court where the judge is basically the janitor, and he is the janitor, where his boss has given the license to commit fraud to the bank, and the judge has got no authority over his boss. You can't do anything with those truckloads of football pitches full of hard evidence.
Right, which is what Gordon Bowden found. Nobody would touch it. The BBC would touch it. Nobody would touch the evidence. The mainstream media and John Patterson, who tried to get the evidence documented and what have you, is in jail.
Because they're not courts of law. They are just company offices.
Okay, well, long may the good work continue. It's exciting, really.
So people are wondering why I just let the house go. Well, I've got a plan. By that time, I've got a plan. So come and take my house. I don't care. Once I've got my documentation from the judge that granted Santander possession of my property, he's now got a £60 million commercial lien against this candy house. My house is only worth 130k.
Right. Yeah. So each time they go harder against you, you get the documentation that they're using for the fraud, and that adds to the strength of your case and your argument.
And we can make up these figures as we go along, because the fiat currency in every country is based upon confidence and belief, which is nothing. There's a whole world of absolute fairy tale. So all you need to do is take that fairy tale and spin it round and make it work backwards.
Right.
And these people can't take down the internet, and they can't take down the servers, and they can't do this because they've not got the capability. And guess who puts it back online again? We do, the tech guys. So they're never going to be able to take it down.
But there are some tech geniuses working for the dark side, and probably this is where my field of work sadly comes in. Probably they're compromised and blackmailed.
Well, the tech genius, I'm a tech genius. So, you know, that's then again a
You're
scale based on
you're using your abilities for good, but there are those that will use it for evil. It's evident.
Right, so let's talk about that tech genius on the dark side. If he can cash in a VAT receipt for 15 million, is he still going to stay doing his dark side?
Some people do. I was listening to an interview of somebody who'd made a couple of million by the time he was 30. This is back in the 80s or 90s. And he wasn't satisfied with that couple of million, even though he had a fantastic lifestyle. He started dealing drugs on a huge scale. And he said himself in this interview, I don't know why I was so stupid. I had everything I'd always wanted. I'd promised myself I'd be a millionaire at 30. I was worth 2 million. I was flying. What was I thinking to get into the drug scene and start drug dealing, which ended him up in prison for 6 years?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that evil is evil and there's no logic to it.
If you want to keep creating a psychological situation where there's a no-win situation, where there's going to be a dark force, the bogeyman under the bed, that's going to take it all apart, when in that case you're lost and you're lost forever.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to.
Here's the guy that defeated all their technical geek crap. The bogeyman does not exist under my bed because I beat the bogeyman.
Yeah, and the ultimate bogeyman, you know, without transferring this into a theological debate, but the ultimate bogeyman is Satan or Lucifer or whatever, right?
No, there's another big debatable point. Because
I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into theological debates. I'm just saying, my belief system is this kind of stuff is going to come to an end.
Satan can't do anything with the hand of man.
Yeah, no, it's just like we're the hands.
But it's not Satan, it's man.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Satan is therefore at that point a patsy.
Well, yeah, it takes people, just like we're the hands and feet of Jesus, there are people that are the hands and feet of Satan.
Yeah, and they're people, and people are just people who shit down the pan.
I know.
Right, so the bogeyman doesn't exist because they're just people. Don't you just love psychology?
Right, I think this is as much as people can digest in this go. Shall we keep going on this video with regard to what to do with my case, or shall we? I think we should leave this as a standalone video, or do you think we should carry on with the?
I agree. Keep this as a standalone video, and you know, because it's getting lengthy. How long is it going on for?
Yeah, no, it's gone on. I usually try and stick to 45 minutes. Our last video was an hour and a half. I would say this one's more like 2, maybe 2.5. So I know it's important, but I'm trying to keep this in digestible pieces that people can cope with.
But when you've got me in a conference like this, you're going to get guns and bullets coming at you thick and fast.
Anyway, what suggestions do you have for titling this?
You're asking me?
Well, just your opinion.
I would entitle this "Now It's Time to Go and Get a Coffee." To be honest with you.
So what have we covered?
Mm-hmm.
We've covered house repossessions. Yeah.
Mortgages and the fact that it's all fraud. We've covered
mortgage fraud,
tax and the fact that tax, they've got to give you your tax back, but you don't because they'll shut your account.
And commercial liens. Shall I write that?
Securitized commercial liens, yeah, where the criminal stands as a surety for the commercial instruments, which we can cash in through a crypto. And that's in progress as we speak. Because nothing gets done overnight.
Money.
So yeah, it's all about the cash in it at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is why I like to. For me, I know that money's not the root of all evil, not at all.
No,
but the lust for money is the root of all evil. And when this is like I described that guy at 30 with 2 million, still making a lot of money. he got pulled in by the insanity of drug addiction.
He thought he was invincible, and he found out he wasn't.
He talked about how, I'm talking about Sean Atwood, and he talked about how the drugs he was taking himself made him feel invincible. It was a diabolical kind of headset. So he's clean now. He doesn't do drugs anymore. All right, we'll finish this for now. Baron David Ward on Facebook. I will put a link for the affidavit in here. And when I printed it, I couldn't print it directly off the link that I shared. I had to download it, and then I could.
Yeah, you've got to download it and print it from a download. Yeah.
So I've done that 3 times. And what should we do? Should we take a half-hour break and then come back and talk about my Ricky Dearman situation?
Yeah, let's do that, because it's time for the coffee. You need a coffee as well.
It definitely is. Or we can do, no, we'll see. Let's take a half-hour break, and then hopefully we'll be ready to go again. I've got the kids here. The kids, they're in their 20s.
I mean, we started out this conversation which was trying to deal with your anxiety.
And you talked about that when you first got the tax man saying you're going to jail if you don't.
Oh yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah, so I'm saying it is a human. I've done a lot of work on healing, but I'm human as well, and I've had a lot of injuries in my life. So it's easy to go back to default anxiety, you know.
I also need to do some language deneuralizing on use and words, you know. Okay. Last time we were talking, you used the word submit.
I know, I caught myself on that the last time.
That's just one of many programmed words.
Understand, and so on and so forth. Because when I made my statement voluntarily
But I need to talk about the fact that how people are subliminally programmed to use that word submit.
Let's save that for the next video, because this one's gone way over 2 hours.
All right.
I'm David Ward on
that
Facebook, Angela Power Disney or Angie Power Disney on Facebook, YouTube, and my blog is angelascashes.org. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I'm sure a lot of you came because of David's knowledge, and thank you. All right, God bless. I'll talk to you in half an hour.
Bye for now.